Okay, so I think that's ready and recorded. We've got a good amount of attendees, which is really nice to see. So thank you for giving up, hopefully around 45 minutes of your time today, and I hope you find it of help. But this, as I mentioned, is to introduce the idea of studying in the UK. Some of you might already have researched this a bit, or this might be your first kind of thought of, oh, potentially, yeah, I might want to study in the UK. And also a bit of a discussion around the University of Birmingham. And as I said, we can have a bit of a chat after this. It is just myself on the webinar today, so bear with me because I'll be presenting. So please put any questions that you have in the Q&A option down the bottom. And then once we get to the end of the session, I can pick it up from then, but I won't be dipping in and out of that whilst we're doing the session, just because I find it's a bit disjointed when you're focusing on one topic. So do bear with me until we get to the end, and then I'll pick up from there. If at the end you think that you haven't got any questions, you go away, you speak to another university, I am back on the stand on the event, so please come and visit and have a chat with me afterwards, because I'm there all day, or pick up my contact details and get in touch with me in the future. I'd be really happy to hear from you and get in touch. So I'll get started. Let's go, and hopefully you can all hear me and see the presentation too, because that's always a tricky one when you're doing it with digital technology. So I'm really hoping that you can hear me and kind of see that. So overall, these are some top points that I discuss with students when I'm talking to them on reasons why students, applicants might want to think about studying in the UK. So it is very different to a US Canadian system. It's an early degree specialisation, and what I mean by that is that you can actually study medicine and study law from an undergraduate degree. You don't need a postgraduate degree to study something that takes you into profession. So it can be a lot quicker process if you're looking at studying at undergraduate level. And also it's a lot more focused. So we don't tend to have such a kind of breadth of different study options. You tend to just study one subject area or a couple. There is other routes where you can choose a couple with us, so liberal arts and natural sciences, but not all universities offer that in the UK, and it is quite rare. Most students tend to study one subject area, or kind of what we call a joint honours. So that could be history and a language or something like that. So that's what I mean by kind of degree specialism. Also, the length of study is a lot shorter. So undergraduate students tend to study for 3 years. If they're doing a placement year, a year in industry, a year abroad, that can go up to 4 or 5 years. It can be inclusive sometimes of a master's, so that's, you're looking at 5 years. If you're a postgraduate kind of applicant looking at postgraduate study, then most of the time that's a year. It's a slightly extended year, so it tends to run from September to the September is a full year, whereas undergraduate studies, they tend to start in the September and then have exams around kind of May, June time. So it's a slightly shorter condensed year, but that's over those 3 years. And then PhD study is on average 3 years. So very multicultural, welcoming society in the UK. So really kind of nice mix and breadth across all different nationalities and cultures. Proximity to home is not the closest, I appreciate that. Depending on what side of the continent you're currently living on, it can be closer to you than others. But we have really good kind of infrastructure. So Birmingham has an international airport that's around half an hour from the university. You can get a direct train from the airport to the city centre and a train from the city centre to the university. There's train links that run all over the UK, as well as bus systems and everything like that. So it's really easy to get around. And compared to any of your states and provinces, it's really little. I think when you live in the UK, you don't actually think it's that little, but when obviously I started traveling a bit more, actually it's a really little place. So you can see and explore most of the UK whilst you're studying with us, hopefully, if that takes your interest. And it's safe. especially because we're a campus university. We have 24-hour security staff and things like that. But on the whole, the university and the UK in general is a lot safer. Obviously, you get your issues with cities and kind of build up of kind of people, but that's the same no matter where you study. So we've also got a very good reputation internationally. Having a UK degree, I think, really does kind of stand you in good stead to employment opportunities after graduation. We're monitored by external companies and kind of consultants, so quality controlled. The QAA, the Quality Assurance Agency, monitors every 3 to 4 years to make sure that the courses, the academics, everything we're teaching is the right standard, the right level, appropriate for the kind of the world of work, and it is very much monitored externally. It's not just us saying that, yes, it's a great curriculum. It's actually setting you up for what you need to do. Completion rates are really high. I'll talk about the University of Birmingham specifically, but overall in the UK, you do complete your degree and you complete in time as well, which again can be quite different to North American study options if you're thinking of those. And just some other options as well there that I kind of wanted to put in and mix around those areas. So these are kind of the main considerations that I would say for students to look at. Not all of these. Some of these you might not think is relevant to you, but if you're right at the start of your decision making, then these are some really good areas to hopefully narrow the options down, or to give you a bit of focus on how to try and kind of narrow those options down, because that can also be really difficult. So first and foremost, I think the course is the most important. It's got to be appropriate for what you want to study. So either that could be that you're incentivized for a certain profession, that you've always wanted to go into a certain job and this is how you get into that job, or that you really enjoy studying that subject area or want to study it more. So really look into the course content. Who's teaching you, what rankings that kind of course specifically has globally in the UK, and kind of we mix into 120 credits a year, and that's broken down into modules, so you study different modules over a year. And I always say for students to look at the modules, how that course is broken down. It's brilliant kind of universities talking about the headlines of courses, but actually what are you going to be studying? And that's where you can find a real difference in courses, because most UK universities will offer a business course in some form or another, but actually it's what that business course kind of really entails. So that's where you can start to see differences in courses, and hopefully you'll start to see kind of, I really am passionate about that area and that's got 20 credits against it. And, you know, so have a look at that. Location could be something that's really important to you. So everyone knows the UK because of London. So I get a lot of students kind of geographically, they know where London is. Birmingham, sometimes they're not too familiar with where Birmingham is. London is a really expensive place to live, so it will increase your cost of living, whereas Birmingham is a lot cheaper and it's only the second city. So it's a really good place to live, but you might want to live closer to the coast. You might want to study in Scotland, you might want to study in a city, you might want to study outside a city. Really think about where you're going to be located and if that's important to you or not. City or campus based, the difference between those in the UK is that some universities are spread across a whole city. So you'll have different kind of buildings for different subject areas, and that might be over the other side of town. Your student union might be kind of more central to town. Your sports centre might be another place. So it's spread up around a city. Campus-based means everything is pretty much in one location, or there's like different campuses across a area. So we're a campus-based university. So if you stay with me and listen to a bit more about Birmingham, you'll understand what a campus university is like. Large or small institutions compared to the US and some Canadian universities, UK universities are actually quite relatively small. The University of Birmingham is one of the bigger ones. So I think we're like fourth largest, and we have around 36,000 students on campus. So that gives you a bit of a scale of the size of universities in the UK. So you might want to have a look at that. Reputation and ranking. With data statistics, I always say kind of take it with a pinch of salt to a certain degree. I wouldn't base your whole decision on it. I think it's informative and it gives you a good idea, but I don't think it's the only thing that you should be considering. Definitely come back to what I spoke about. The course is where I'd go next. School or department, you might want to look outside your course and see actually what the department's doing, what academic staff are included in that department, the type of research that they're doing, especially if you're looking at postgraduate studies. The university feel and vibe and atmosphere overall, the fit of it, that was definitely a big consideration for me. I went to certain open days and I didn't feel like I fit in at all, and others I felt really comfortable. I know it's really difficult for you because you're making decisions at a distance in the midst of a pandemic. So I totally appreciate that. But universities are putting a lot of content out there. They're investing a lot in virtual tours, in online open days. So you can speak to academics, you can speak to students, things like UniBuddy, so you can actually speak to a student that's currently studying there, videos of tours and things like that. So really utilize that resource to feel, hopefully, if you fit and if you want to kind of study there. Employability, again, is becoming more of a discussion point with applicants. So think about kind of where those students are going on to, what type of careers they're going into, what opportunities that course is giving you. Entry requirements first and foremost. I'd say that should be one of your first things that you look at, because if you don't meet the entry requirements, there's not much point you falling in love with the course. You're only beating yourselves up. So I'd say have a look at the entry requirements first, and if they're realistic and you think you can meet them, then do more research into that course or that university. Some will be higher, some will be lower. We're a Russell Group university, so we have higher entry requirements. Newer universities and some other universities have much lower entry requirements to us. There is a whole mix. Again, it's doing your research and finding where's the best fit for you. Specialist courses, so you might be looking for something really specific. Again, do your research, ask around. I get asked for some courses and I'll try and do my best to think who offers it. I got asked yesterday at an event in Mexico, who does oceanography. Obviously, we don't do it. We're in the middle of the UK, but I try to advise to who can. So not all universities offer the course that you're looking for. And then specific facilities for your course, things like labs, coursework, opportunities to study abroad, placements, those types of things could be of interest to you. And I get a couple of questions around, I've heard this academic speak on YouTube or read their research article and I'm absolutely obsessed and in love with them. I want to study the course. So that might be an inspiration for you too. I spent way too much longer on that slide, but I think it's a really important slide. So undergraduate students, bear with me if you're looking at postgraduate. I will get to that, and I'll try and be quite brief on undergraduate options. But to apply to any UK university, most ask for you to go through a service called UCAS, University and Colleges Admission Service, and that gives you 5 options to study different courses. So if you wanted to study 2 courses with us, that would use up 2 of your options. It's not per university, it's per course. So you only have 5 options to select. So that could be Manchester, Birmingham, Sheffield, Southampton, and UCL as your 5 options. There's about 7 different sections to the UCAS form that includes everything from personal details to work experience to your education. Try and be as detailed as you can on your education, and if it doesn't fit in it, put it in at the sections. Your personal statement is a section of around 47 lines. It's just under about a word page if it's formatted. On explaining why you're a good fit for that course and why the admissions tutor should offer you a place for that course. And then a reference from your tutor or kind of your academic who teaches you or your counsellor. needs to be included in that. There is a fairly smallish fee to submit it, and then you submit it and UCAS sends your application out to all those 5 universities to be considered, and they'll use something called UCAS Track to keep you updated on those offers. Some key dates to be aware of are shown on the slide. So if you're looking at medicine, dentistry, veterinary science, you need to put an application in by the 15th of October. So say you're applying this year. So if you're looking to apply in September a study in September 2021, you'd have to have applied by the 15th of October 2020. To give you a bit of an idea, equal consideration means that UK students have to submit an application by the 15th of January. So it's good precedent to get an application in by the 15th of January. International students do have until the 30th of June, but the longer you leave it, courses can and probably will close if they're popular. So it just means that you have full opportunity for the course that you want to study. And then clearing starts from July to August, and clearing is where universities that haven't met the quota of students that they need for that course will sometimes lower their entry requirements, and it'll be slightly easier to get in. But it is a bit stressful because it's last minute, but it could be a route into some universities. And if you think last minute, actually, the US option that I was considering hasn't worked out, I've gone past the May deadline, I'm looking at coming to the UK, it can be that backup option as well. So it's just to explain that to you. This gives you a bit of a timeline of what I was discussing there, and hopefully it being a bit more visual kind of makes sense. So from September to around October time is a good time to do kind of course research, virtual open days, YouTube videos, engagement with activities like this. Then students tend to apply from October to January, and there's specific dates as I've mentioned there. The universities will get back to you at different times with offers, and that usually can take a couple of weeks to hear back from a university. And they'll either give you a conditional offer, so on the conditions of you meeting that offer, an unconditional if you've already achieved your results, or a reject if you don't meet the requirements, or if you need to have an interview or something similar to that. Once you have all your offers back, so you've got 5 offers back, you have to narrow it down to 2. So a firm where you really want to go, and an insurance where you wouldn't mind going. And then you pretty much work as hard as you can to get the best results that you can. And if you meet the conditions of your offer, you're then through the process and start university. Sounds simple, there's a lot more steps to it than that, but that hopefully gives you a bit of an overview. If you want more details on that, have a chat with me after. So as I mentioned, it's compulsory element to applying to UK. There's that personal statement, which is a maximum of 4,000 characters, 47 lines, and that should be drafted. It shouldn't just be kind of a quick overnight, just get it done and in. It should, you should have a couple of drafts of this, run it past your tutors, run it past your guardians for spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes, tell us about your skills, your experience, your knowledge, your passion, what you want to do in the future if you know that. And it tends to be formatted in an introduction, a middle and an end. So your introduction is pretty much kind of like a grabbing statement. Your middle is kind of broken down into those sections that I've explained there, and then kind of a nice conclusion and kind of summary at the end of it. It should demonstrate lots of different skills, talk about the different kind of areas of sports, clubs, what you've been involved in, and as I've mentioned, those different areas from start to end there, but there's loads of information on the website on how to construct that and pull that together, and on university websites too. This gives you an example of kind of bringing in skills to a specific kind of sentence paragraph on the sort of things that we're looking for. I'd also think about the content and the type of language that the website or kind of prospectus says about a course, and start to kind of marry that into your personal statement is a good piece of advice, top tip. And that pretty much covers the overall kind of applying, I do have a postgraduate slide, so let me know at the end if you need me to talk about postgraduate entry, but if not, I'm going to move on to the University of Birmingham. So we were founded in 1900. We've got a vast history of delivering education. We were one of the first civic universities in the UK and one of the first universities to represent students from all religious and kind of ethnicity backgrounds. We have a beautiful campus, which is 270 acres, about 200 football pitches in size. I think that's UK football pitches, not American size football pitches. But it gives you a bit of context, because when people say acres, it's like, how big is that? We're outside the city centre, so we're not directly in the city. We're about 3 miles away from the city. We have 11 Nobel Prize winners that we're very proud of and are ranked in the top 100 universities constantly. So a good university to graduate from. About 1 in 4 of our students are international and 1 in 3 of our staff are international. And we have a representation of about 10,000 international students from 150 different countries. So a really good mix of students. We're, as I said, the 4th biggest university in the UK, so quite a big one when you're comparing to other universities. Around 64% of our students are undergraduate and 36% are postgraduate. And 79% of our graduates gain a first or upper class. So a first is the highest category of degree that you can graduate with, and 95% complete their degree, which again is really high. So they're completing it in those 3 years that I mentioned of an undergraduate. They're not kind of following on year after year. That's not a common thing in the UK. So some of our firsts to make us stand out from other universities, we're the first to open up our own secondary school. So we're very invested in education. We offer it all the way through from school to university to PhD. We are now taking that to Dubai. So we have a campus in Dubai that is ever growing. So we're really excited about that, and just increases our global presence, which again, for employment opportunities is great. We're the first university to incorporate a medical school and the longest established business school as well. So some great firsts there. One of the best things I would say is our campus. I'm sure that when I mentioned that, you saw hopefully me light up a bit, and I do really miss it because currently we're not working on campus, and I'm sure you're missing certain bits. But this is our beautiful campus. There's a really nice virtual tour that I can give you a link to, or you can find on our website, that I would really recommend. It's just come out this week and it gives you a really good kind of overview of our campus, but I'll try and do that as much as I can with this slide. So the clock tower in the middle here is Old Joe. If you do become one of our students, you will know Old Joe, and he becomes very kind of iconic with being a University of Birmingham student or graduate or alumnus. Everyone loves him, and he's named Old Joe because of our first Vice Chancellor Chamberlain. He wanted to be well known, so instead of completing a semicircle of red brick buildings, he decided to build a clock tower to be remembered and known. It lights up at different kind of times of the year to celebrate charities and different things like that. You definitely hear him whilst you're across campus, and there's loads of different myths and tales, and I'll let you explore those with doing your own research. I won't spoil it for you, but he's pretty much central university campus. We've got a really nice semicircle of red brick buildings. Our Great Hall is located here, and that's where we have graduation ceremonies, kind of balls. Some of our exams are in there, careers fairs and everything like that. It's a really nice kind of historical hall for that. We've had a lot of investment lately, so I think we have 600 million pounds in the last 5 to 6 years of capital investment. We've opened up a green parkland here, so that's the Green Heart. We have a brand new multi-layered library that's about 2 to 3 years old. This is now constructed. So this is a teaching and learning building. So this was open for this September students, and it was actually designed and helped by students. Over here we have a brand new engineering building, and that is literally opened this month. So have a look on our website and kind of news stories if you're interested in engineering. Behind here, so, is a train station, and that takes you directly into the city. We're the only UK mainland university with their own train station. And this is the medical school just by that, and that's the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, one of the biggest UK hospitals in the UK. So if you're looking at healthcare placements, we're one of the biggest healthcare sector placements in kind of the UK, because we cover the whole of the West Midlands. There's a lot of opportunity for healthcare placements. If you're interested in sport, we're ranked 7th at the moment for our sport in competition with other universities, and have some great facilities for sport, and I'll touch on those later. The Student Guild or Union is just located here. Some of our accommodation is over here and up here, so it's on campus if you want it. I would advise, if you're an undergraduate student first year, you go for on campus. Postgraduate, it's likely that you might choose off campus. It's sometimes a little bit cheaper, it's up to you. So this is our proximity to the city centre. So you can see we're close enough without being too close, I would pretty much say. So we've got nice parkland buffering us and the city, but we're in a very green suburban part of the city too, and it's really quick and easy to get into the city, either through using the train, riding along our canals. We have more canals in miles than Venice, and using a bus as well. So there's loads of different ways for you to engage and get into the city. These are some of our rankings. You might be familiar with the US News Global University rankings. So we've got some good rankings there for a UK university. But as I said, have a look at these, but look around these as well. We are a Russell Group university, so there's 24 universities in the UK that are part of the Russell Group. It means that they're a bit more research focused. It depends on what type of university and experience that you want. So have a look into those different areas, but just to kind of say that. Our structure is pretty much 5 main colleges. So we have a College for Arts and Law, Engineering and Physical Sciences, Life and Environmental, Medical and Dental, and then Social Sciences. And you can see some of the subjects broken down into those. And then we've got other subjects below that. I think we have around 900 subjects overall. So have a look at our subject finder and see if we offer the course that you're looking for. But those are pretty much our main colleges. As I mentioned, we do have a campus in Dubai. It is growing with the courses that it offers. So have a chat with me if you're interested in studying in Dubai. And there is opportunity for our Birmingham campus students to do a year in Dubai as well. Overall, our community with Canada, and because it's a Canada event, I have focused specifically on Canada. We have around 152 students from Canada at the moment, 136 at undergraduate level. We do really well with undergraduate recruitment in Canada. So the majority of current Canada students will be undergraduate, and these are some of the more popular subject areas that Canadian students tend to study at the University of Birmingham. So this is that course search that I mentioned to find all the different course options that are available to you. So you just click on study and you type in a course and you'll see what options there are to study that course. So calling a place kind of home in your community, we have a welcome week on arrival. It's not really a week, it's more like 2-3 weeks to help you settle in. That was slightly different this year, obviously, because of the pandemic, but it still was delivered. So it was delivered virtually, as well as social distance kind of measures that are in place. So we had a outdoor kind of cinema. We had loads of outdoor kind of eating vans and venues that kind of pulled up at different times around campus. Like outdoor, I think bowling and games and like shot put and those types of fun things. But we tried to do as best as we can to support the students that had come to campus at that time this year, and we did the same in January for the January starters. I really recommend that you register with a doctor as soon as you arrive in the UK. So you will have to pay an immigration health surcharge to cover your NHS costs whilst in the UK, and that's part of your visa application. But you can use dental, medical, doctor surgeries as much as you want or whenever you need it and not have to pay anything more. The only thing that we have to pay more for in the UK is a subscription. And that's I think at the moment it's about £12 per subscription, so it's really not that expensive. So just to kind of bear in mind kind of the healthcare provision that the UK offers and give you a bit of security there. Loads of different social events take place across campus through societies, through different groups, through course, as well as through your accommodation. So there's lots to get involved in. We have an on-campus farmers market every month, and then different kind of one-off events take place throughout the year. So we have Vale Fest, university proms, Christmas events. In the city, we have the European Market, Christmas Market, which is one of the biggest in Europe. And that lakeside welcome, so that was part of the Welcome Week this year, which was all that outdoor activity. If research is of interest to you, I'd recommend that you have a look into the REF. We're REF Gold, so we're the highest standard of REF, and we're also TEF Gold. So REF means Research Excellence Framework. TEF means Teaching Excellence Framework, and they're good indicators as well if you're looking at kind of rankings and those types of indicators. Those are some of the areas that we're top for research in. If you are interested in research, we have a really good news marketing kind of awareness campaign called Birmingham Heroes. And that's a really good way of finding out more about the research that the University of Birmingham is doing. And also if you're interested in how we're inputting into the pandemic and COVID, we have lots of outstanding research that's taking place there that I'd really recommend that you have a look at as well. These are our Nobel Prize winners that we're really proud of, just to mention. So our most recent one, it's in physics and gravitational waves research. So tuition fees and scholarship. These are our undergraduate tuition fees. You can find these on our website. So different bands have different amount of tuition fees against them, so look at which course, and it will be on your course search in the right top hand corner, so that's maybe the easiest way to find the tuition fee that you're looking at. Cost of living on average, I'd say around £10,000 to £11,000 for the whole year. If you're a postgraduate student, I'd say maybe a little bit more than that because you're here over that summer. So as I mentioned at the start, that's September to September really, whereas an undergraduate student tends to travel back home over that time. So we don't include that within the cost of living, but we don't include flights either. So really have a think about kind of your additional costs. So things like flights back home, how many times you're going to go home, those types of things. You might be massively into your fashion and shopping. You might be really into your technology, gaming, whatever your kind of hobbies are, factor those into it as well, and kind of draw up an ideal, like realistic budget to make sure that you're budgeting well, and that will set you up really well for coming and give you a bit of reassurance. Some of the additional things to think about budgeting, so your setup costs when you come to the UK. Don't bring bedding and things like that with you, buy it when you arrive, and just those setup kind of initial costs because you're not going to be bringing everything from your room or home with you. Course related costs as well, so if you are thinking that you'd like to go on course trips or kind of those types of things, that can add up, and how you're going to fund that as well. So Some of these I've already mentioned, but we are a campus, so we do have everything in one place. And as well as our train station, we have a concert hall. So if you're into your music, we can support that interest as well, or we offer that as a course and have some really good facilities for that. Botanical gardens, which a lot of our students use, especially in the summer, to have a walk around and a bit of an escape. The Geology Museum, where we have our own dinosaur. 13 different libraries and resource centres, and they're open. Some of them are open 24/7, apart from specific times of the year like Christmas and stuff, so they're really accessible. But there's a lot of online provision too, so if you were to go back home and don't want to take a load of books with you, that's totally doable, and there's so much online resource too, and that's been invested in all the time. Again, banks, shops, cafes, market stalls are all within kind of the campus or on site, within a really close location. And as I've pointed out, some of those new facilities that have come onto campus really recently. So accommodation, we have 3 main accommodation areas. The most popular probably being the Vale Village, which is this image just in the background. So you're looking towards that clock tower. So from the back of the campus towards the clock tower, and it probably takes around a 25-minute walk to walk from this location to the campus centre. Most UK rooms you don't have to share with someone else. That could be quite different to potentially maybe what you're looking at or used to. You have your own lockable room, and quite a lot of them as well offer ensuite, but you'll pay a little bit more for an ensuite facility, and that will be a sink, a shower and a toilet type facility. You can have catered too, so that means that your meals are included, and with us that tends to be around 2 meals a day. You have a card that you can use across the whole of campus, so back at your accommodation and on central campus in like cafes and bars. But you also have your own kitchen if you're catered or non-catered, so you can cook your own stuff if you wanted to. Different universities might only offer catered at your accommodation, so check that out as well if you're looking elsewhere. We do have private accommodation too, and we have a team that can support and help you with looking at that. Most first years live on university, and then they tend to move out for second and third year study. Postgraduates, it's a bit of a mix. The team's called Living that can help you with that, and they can help you look through contracts, assured landlords. They hold fairs on campus for that next step of kind of your accommodation. But I totally appreciate accommodations like your home. It's really important. So it can be a real concern for certain students. So these are our 3 main university villages. Selly Oak being in the front of the campus, a bit more urban because that's a little kind of like town high street. The Vale Village being to the side of the campus, really quick to get onto campus, about 15 minutes, and it has a green kind of energy efficient type accommodation if you're interested in that, and a global one too, so if you want to mix with other international students. And then the Vale Village right at the top of the campus around the lake. It is guaranteed if you put an application in before the 31st of July, and you have got about 7 different options to choose which accommodation you prefer, and they'll try and match as best as they can to that accommodation. So the city, I mentioned earlier, you might not know where Birmingham is. Here you go, if you're not too sure. So right in the heart of the UK. It's about 2 hours, 2.5 hours from London, and the same to Manchester. So really well located for that. And again, there's train lines and bus and motorways and everything that can take you there. It is the 2nd largest city in the UK, so you're getting a big city experience for nowhere near the cost of London, and it has everything that a city has to offer, and a big population too. It's the youngest city in Europe too, so majority of the population are under the age of 25, which means that there's a lot to do that's fun as well within the city because there's so much population that want that. If you're looking for kind of financial type opportunities, then we have the largest financial district outside of London. And to kind of give testament to the city, 48% of our students choose to stay in the city after graduation. So they come, they like it and they want to settle down and stay, because it offers opportunity. It's a fun place to be, and their friends are staying close by too. So it has a really nice feel about it because of that. So it's a really young city and quite dynamic with that. So that last picture, sorry, was our train station. So this has been newly developed. This is the city centre train station. There's loads of shops involved in this, and then you go off to a massive shopping mall arcade over here. Student groups, if you're looking at kind of the fit and other things to do, I'd really recommend in getting involved in additional stuff. I'd say, apart from your course, that's one of the best things about a UK university, is the opportunities that it gives you whilst here, and really recommend taking all of those, because that's what will make you employable on graduation. So we have between 250 to 300 societies now, ranging from everything from political to religion, to ethnicity, to random interests, to volunteering, to working for the student newspaper or the television channel, I think that they have. They definitely have a radio channel as well, to kind of course related stuff. So it really is kind of very broad. And if there's not something that you see that's set up, you can set up yourself if you have 10 or more people that are interested too. And you can develop through that. So you can just be an attendee in your first year, but you might want to be like the president of the society or help with the finances and stuff. And that all looks great on a personal statement. You make more friends and everything else. So, and it is really good. So these are some of the more popular ones with the Americas. But there's loads of others to choose from too. So it really is up to you on what you want to get involved in. One of the best ones that I heard about is the 15, I think it was the 45-minute society, and they'd text you or communicate to you what they were doing that evening 45 minutes before the activity, to give you a chance to get there and get involved in it. And I thought that was really cool. So there's loads of different random stuff. There's Harry Potter stuff, there's stuff relating to your course, cooking, whatever you're interested in. If you're interested in sport, then we have some high competing sports societies. If you just want to do it for the fun, the health, the social aspect of it too, there's totally that too. I took up trampolining when I was at university, and I was awful at it, but I absolutely loved it because it was something a bit more social, totally different to my course. The team were really like fun and awesome, and it was just a bit of a laugh. So you can just do it for the fun aspect of it too. These are some of our sporting facilities. So the sports centre opened up about 2.5 years ago, so it's really new. And there's a lot of kind of exciting facilities available. And these are some of our sports clubs as well, because you're all going to be interested in different stuff. So hopefully you can think, oh, cool, they offer that. To support your studies, so I've mentioned kind of tuition fees. There are some scholarships available. Have a look on our website under the scholarship and support side of things. If you're from the US and Canada too, we support with kind of like the federal funding and kind of the in-country aids like FAFSA and provincial funding as well. So that hopefully is a benefit to you. But you can work on campus too. So students on a student visa can work up to 20 hours a week while studying, and full-time whilst you're on like holiday vacation period. The university advises that you work slightly less than 20 hours because of balancing your academic studies. But I'd recommend, if you are looking to study, try and get an on-campus job, because they're paid a lot better and they're a lot more flexible. So have a chat with our work link, our students' union, if that's of interest to you. Something else to mention is that the visas have changed recently. So rather than tier 4 visa, you'll be coming on a student visa. And also the graduate stay back options have increased. So you used to be able to stay for 6 months. Now you can stay for 2 years after graduation. So there's just more opportunity to stay in the UK, take advantage of the opportunities, or try and maybe potentially settle into a career or use it as a stepping stone for a career. Up to you, but it just gives you more time to choose on what you want to do. So support services, each university is going to offer a whole plethora of different support options to students. This is our international kind of team, so student teams, they help with visas, working in the UK, finance, and all of those side of things. So if you have any worries about visas or the kind of application process, then definitely get in touch with our international student team or have a look at the advice on our website. But all the other options, so each student is given a personal tutor, and that's kind of a one-on-one type option, as well as kind of within your course you'll have different ways of being taught as well, so it won't always be kind of lectures, there will be a mixture of being taught. The Guild of Students offer loads of different support options, as well as those social fun aspects, chaplaincy, careers, mental health, and all of that side of things. So see what's available, and if you need it, just know that it's there and access it if you do come to us. Careers, we're the second most targeted university by top employers, and I think that really speaks volumes when you're talking about employability, because it means that employers really value our graduates and are actively recruiting students from the university because they want them to study, they want them to work with them. So it means that our graduates are ready for the world of employment and that they're of good quality too. Outside of that, we have a careers network team that can help you with opportunities. They can send around bulletins. There's an online resource where you can find opportunities both in the UK and globally, as well as kind of if you're looking for funding over summers to kind of get additional opportunities, so kind of work experience. There's opportunities like that, as well as building upon some of your softer skills. There is a lot of resource within them. A lot of the schools offer careers fairs too, and there's kind of employability, career access, employer access as part of your curriculum within your course as well. That pretty much summarizes most of the information I wanted to chat with you today. I hope you found it helpful. There's been a mixture of information there. I haven't gone into too much depth in certain areas. So if you do have more questions, by all means, put it in the Q&A or come and have a chat with me on the stall. If you're watching this post-date the event, please drop me an email and I'd be happy to help you out. But thank you ever so much for giving up your time. And I hope you found it helpful, and good luck with your choices. Yeah, thank you ever so much.